Hello, everyone. Yeah, our next talk is with Michel van Buyten, head of music from Tomorrowland. And maybe you introduce yourself in some word, and then we can start with a really great presentation.
Sure. Hi, my name is Michel. I work for Tomorrowland. I work there as head of music, indeed, which means that I oversee the music activities that we do, the music exploitation activities. I don't do the bookings, so if you have questions for that, don't direct them to me. And the point of this presentation is I think I want to run you guys a bit through some history of Tomorrowland. And basically show a little bit how we evolved from a small local festival into what we feel is an international entertainment brand. And I want to run you through some of our activities that we do, why we do them, how we do them, and hopefully give you guys some inspiration to do stuff like that yourself.
And if you have any questions, you can do after the presentation. So, yeah.
Let's start. So, Tomorrowland from a festival to a global entertainment brand. Maybe good to start with the beginning, where Tomorrowland started. That was here. This is 2005. This is the main stage of the very first Tomorrowland festival, at the same spot where the main stage still is. This festival was organized in a quite chaotic way by two brothers and some friends. It was actually going to be called differently 2 weeks before the start of this festival. It was actually going to be called Mysteryland, and some people will probably know that Mysteryland is a big festival in Holland. This was actually the Belgian spin-off of Mysteryland, but just before, literally 2 weeks before the festival, everything was printed, all the posters were printed. The Dutch friends decided that it wasn't a good idea to do the same festival in two different countries, so the brothers decided to call it Tomorrowland, and that was a very wise decision in the end, because after a couple of years, this is what the main stage at the same spot looked like last summer. So obviously, as a festival, Tomorrowland has grown enormously, which is something that we're super proud of and worked very hard on. But we did way more, and basically, from a festival brand, it became a global entertainment brand. This is a slide that shows a little bit how global our activities are currently. This shows basically what we've been doing, all the events or activities that we've done last year. So you can see the main festival in Boom, that's in Belgium, just outside of Antwerp. We have Core Festival, which is a new festival brand we've launched. I'll talk about that a little bit more. We actually have our second festival tomorrow, Core Festival in Brussels. We did Eric Prydz shows at ADE. We did Tomorrowland Winter in France. We did Tomorrowland Presents with Dimi and Mike in Ushuaia, Ibiza. We are actually doing Tomorrowland Brazil this year again. This wasn't last year. And yeah, we have two charities, one in Nepal, one in India, that I'll talk you through later a bit as well. We have Terra Solis in Dubai, which is something incredible that I'll show you as well. So just to show you how global we currently operate and also how different our activities are. The basis for all of that is basically the four values of what we as Tomorrowland want to bring and also want to do. And the first one of that is creativity. The creative team of Tomorrowland is actually the biggest team of Tomorrowland. So Tomorrowland has over 200 people working full-time there, and there's almost 30 of them being basically creative. So that's 3D designers, that's everything that's made. So literally everything that Tomorrowland does, everything that you see at the festival, online, everything is made in-house. That's a very specific and very difficult rule sometimes to work with, but it is how it is. So creativity is super important, and that's the key cornerstone. We want to be creative. That's why Tomorrowland exists, and we want to help other people to be creative. We want to create the best possible situation for a DJ to present his art. So creativity is at the core of everything Tomorrowland does. Second one is obviously entertainment. What we want to do is we want to entertain people, whether it be at a festival, at an event, or online. That's quite clear. So all of our activities are around that. We want to entertain people, but we also want to unite people. That's a super important thing. It's part of our slogan, and it's part of everything you do. Everyone who's been lucky enough to visit Tomorrowland or one of our other festivals knows that it's a very global thing and everyone's welcome there. It's a very peaceful and unified party always. So that's super important in everything we do, and we also created some activities around that to make that stronger. And then the last one is magic. There's two sides to that story. Magic is obviously something we want to bring. We want to create stories. There's always themes, and it's always very fairy tale-like. Some people like it, some people hate it, but we see it as magic. On the other side, if you are lucky enough to work at Tomorrowland, the first thing you get told is keep the magic secret, which is not something I'm doing now, but it's also something that we sort of hold everything we do, we hold very dear to our heart, and it's super important that what we make is basically close to our chest. But we want to give people a magical feeling whenever they are in touch with what we do, be it online, be it at a festival. That's super important. And magic is also something that we created some businesses around that I'll touch on later. So they are the core of our brand pie. And to explain a little bit in a very structured way, and this feels, after listening to Defected, which was very sort of chill out, this is very sort of, I don't know, business-like, but okay, I'm going to continue like this. Because this is our brand pie, and it's built around those 4 key values, and then you see here the actual pie, which is all the domains that we are as a brand now active in. I'll run you through most of them, and I'll touch most on the music part, which is the part that I'm most involved with. Although, as you will see, and you know, they all touch each other, and we all work together closely. Obviously, the first one is our festivals. Here's the overview of our main festival brands. Obviously, Tomorrowland in Boom, Tomorrowland Winter, Tomorrowland Brazil, that we're super happy to have again. It was incredible for us to see that it was sold out in 3 hours, which is not easy to go back to Brazil after 6 years, I think. So yeah, incredible to see it being sold out again and seeing all the Brazilians being super, super positive about it. So it's going to be an amazing party. We also have Tomorrowland Digital that I'll talk about a little bit later, and Core, which is our new festival brand. Core started as a stage at Tomorrowland. It's a more left-of-center stage. We started that stage in 2017. But it's now grown into a festival in itself. It's a city festival in Brussels, 2 days. We have it this weekend with 2 stages that are purely dance music and 2 stages that are more broad. There's hip-hop, there's jazz, there's everything. And it's also a traveling stage. So next to that Core Festival, we also have Core Events, the stage that you see at the festival, at Tomorrowland, I mean. It's a big head. Some people might have seen it, and you'll see it in a clip later. It's actually an inflatable stage. So it's in one container, so it can easily travel the world. And it traveled the first time to Tulum in Mexico, where in September we did a Core Tulum. And we plan to do more of those all over the world soon. Super successful experience for us, at least. And Tomorrow World doesn't exist anymore, but was our festival in Atlanta in the States. About the digital festival, I want to show this. So much as Defected actually just said, also during Corona, we were faced with very big problems. We were actually building up our festival in France at the moment, when basically everything stopped and we had to stop everything. Everyone sat home, we couldn't do summer, and the team got together, wanted to very much, as Defected said, also bring entertainment to people sitting at home scared for what was going to happen. And so our team got together and created I think, an incredible first try of a digital festival, recording green screen sets with the biggest DJs, bringing them in very crazy animations in which we actually used a lot of the sketches for the stages that would in 2022 then become the actual stages, but nobody knew them then. It was a big success, a lot of learnings, but it was a way of Tomorrowland trying to be innovative in very difficult times and bringing still people together around a digital festival. We continue doing it because we still believe in it, that digital entertainment and live entertainment in a digital world is something someone will crack the code at some point, and we're committed to keep doing it. So, for example, for this year's festival, this summer's festival, we announced our lineup with a digital festival as well. I think we recorded like 25 sets during ADE in a green screen studio just outside of Amsterdam with all the big DJs that were there. We used those to create a festival, and during the festival we announced some of the names that would be performing at the festival.
How many weeks or months were you working on this first edition? Because a lot of people saw that at home during Corona and they were like, wow, what the fuck did they?
Yeah, this was 2 months. In 2 months this was all made, but a lot of the sketches were already there. The most challenging thing was getting the DJ sets recorded, actually. And yeah, a lot of things like, and those are questions that I'm not responsible of, but how do you sort of work with ticketing for something like this? How do you create a business model around it? We were also toying with the idea to sell DJ sets as NFTs at some point, because that way you could make it all a little bit more individualized. You could choose what to see, because these digital festivals are very linear. So you basically log in and you see what is happening, which is the actual feeling at an actual festival, but in a digital, But again, I'm not responsible for that. So I have my opinions, but they're just mine. Next thing is our events. So apart from our festivals, we also have one-off events or specific events that are not festivals. I'll just quickly run through them. Lost Frequencies that we managed. We did his world tour last year. Dimi and Mike that we managed. We do big arena shows with them. With Charlotte Witt, we co-produced some shows. So we do a lot of like one-off shows as well. Don't want to go much deeper in that. Apart from that, we also have experiences. So we don't only organize festivals or do one-off events. We are also branching out to bring the Tomorrowland experience and the Tomorrowland feeling in more non-musical experiences. One of them is Terra Solis, which is a resort in Dubai where you can sit at a pool and enjoy good food and all that stuff. But the one I want to highlight here quickly is the Ride to Happiness, which is our spinning coaster that we have in an amusement park in Belgium. You can see some cool stats, but a video shows it better. If it works. Oh. So yeah, it was a challenge that was brought to us by the amusement park that actually suggested it to us and to our team to say like, look, we want to start this coaster and we think you guys are the perfect fit. It's for a bit of older audience who connect with us. It's not for the younger kids. And so the music is composed for it. The whole environment, as soon as you enter it, you enter into a Tomorrowland dream world, and then you get really sick on the ride afterwards. Then music. So that's part of the brand pie, as we call it, that I mostly am active in. Obviously, it's the cornerstone of everything we do at Tomorrowland. It started with music, and obviously we work very closely together with artists. And from that, we start building businesses around that. One World Artists is our management and booking agency. Tomorrowland Music is our label. And the Tomorrowland Academy is an academy that we launched 2 years ago. Now has 2 schools in 2 different locations, and it's also going to launch a digital site where you can sort of log in to classes from DJs and producers and that kind of stuff. Music production, not particularly on the business side, but more something that Tomorrowland as a group did together with Hans Zimmer. We created the Tomorrowland hymn. It's a 10-minute long Hans Zimmer composition made specifically for Tomorrowland, and we still use actually in all the music that you hear in between the DJ sets, also on the Ride to Happiness, there's always that Hans Zimmer theme that we actually sample, reuse. So it's really part of our brand identity. And the Symphony of Unity is a collaboration between Tomorrowland and the Belgian Symphonic Orchestra, where we set up shows blending classical music and dance music, basically. So, yeah, our music environment or ecosystem is super big and diverse. The top 3 ones, and particularly the 2 to the left, are the more business-focused one. And Tomorrowland Music is there in that pie, sort of a cornerstone, as it's our dedicated music team. It's now a label, an actual label that we launched in August 2021, so almost 2 years now. We took a very long time to prepare for it. So we've been working behind the scenes for a very long time, so that when we launched it right out of the gates, we could do weekly releases with artists. The idea is not to just create a label and get streams and do basically what other labels do. There would not really be a reason for that. We really want to be a sort of constructive partner within the Tomorrowland ecosystem and work with young talents, but also with A-listers, and in creating very creative campaigns for which you often can use a song better to do something around that. So that's really what we want to do. We want to help talents develop into the main stage headliners of tomorrow, and that's really what our A&Rs are aimed at doing. And our marketeers are really looking together with the festival teams and together with our creative teams in-house to see, like, okay, we have this artist, we have this project, what can we create around this that is different, that helps the career of that artist, but that also brings a level of entertainment to the fans who want to listen to the best new dance music. That is a supreme sort of experience. We launched it almost 2 years ago, so it's definitely not perfect yet, and we're definitely still building, but we're super happy with where we are already. And from the artist community, we get a lot of great feedback and a lot of great collaborations. And we also have a great partnership with Universal. We actually signed a deal here in Berlin with the German team. So that's a super positive story for us.
And how many people are working on it right now?
The label team is 10 people dedicated, and then we have some people from the marketing team that do festival stuff and release stuff. Our management team is around 10 people as well, and the bookings team is also 8 people. So all those people are working together. And so we're also going to launch publishing, because a lot of the, music that we create, we should actually start administrating it, which we don't always yet. So these are some of the releases that we did so far. It's very diverse. From Martin Garrix's Vintage Culture to Korolova, Ukrainian act, or Damien Hendricks from France. So it's very, very diverse. And these are singles, which are sort of how you start a label, sort of to get the engine running. But we definitely also want to work broader together. We don't only want to work on singles. And that's a good example of something else we did, was a collaboration with Stamped. That's the label of Martin Garrix. Tomorrowland and many other dance festivals have the practice of giving a label the opportunity to host a stage. And Stamped is one, Martin Garrix is one of the big friends of the festival. Amazing story between Tomorrowland and Garrix that blew up together, basically. So he obviously has his stage. And last year we started talking like, okay, we have the stage, there's a lot of cool young artists there, but can't we do more? So we set up a collaboration where we released an EP together. Did a big campaign around that in Amsterdam, in Antwerp. Really cool content that we created around it. Did a nice campaign with Spotify, where Stamped, for example, took over a playlist that was also a bit Tomorrowland branded during the festival. And we also did a very nice fashion drop. So the two logos, it's a little bit this together. And we launched it during the festival. It was sold out immediately. It was very limited, so was not for the money, it was more for the sort of vibe and creating that hype around the fact that basically we were doing this. And for us, Stamped is one of those examples of an artist-led label that brings value, that there's a clear audience for it. And so Tomorrowland is really eager to help these parties to keep growing. And that's basically why we did this collaboration, where it's difficult to get displayed.
So the collab t-shirt is a collaboration between Stamped and Tomorrowland.
I now realize that he didn't approve this to be posted, so you're the only ones who will ever see this. That's also Martin Garrix. I'm stuck, I think. Okay, no. Second collaboration or example of collaborations is that as a music team, we also want to collaborate with commercial partners. Amazon Music is one of those. So we had this dream of creating a new piece of content. Tomorrowland is known for its after movie. It's something that we pioneered in, and that became a very big thing. But the after movie shows a lot, but we wanted to show the stories behind the people of tomorrow. That's how we call our followers and the people that come to our events. And so we had this dream of making a documentary, and we were looking for a partner to help fund it and help bring it broader. And Amazon got on board, and they co-produced with us the We Are Tomorrow documentary, in which we brought 4 protagonists. So we did that last year in 2022. One chef, one dancer at the festival, one visitor of the festival, and then one artist. And that artist is or was Topic last year. And we basically, produced a great show with him, created cool footage. Topic is obviously a streaming artist that blew up also during Corona, but an artist like that has built a DJ career and a live career after he's already get all these streams, which is not very easy. But we feel there's potential in him, so we really wanted to work with him and help him. And this is one of those tools to do it with. So basically, the documentary was co-funded. We did a really nice campaign, and I think for both us and Topic and Amazon, it was a really nice collaboration. And also for the fans who got this.
For every person, Tomorrowland stands out for a different reason.
Dancing on that stage, it's a proof to myself that I can do more.
Tomorrowland is an escape to utopia. We are all together, we are all united. Just be your own self and no one judges you.
It's a festival of life, love, color.
And I'll be singing la 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 la. You're saving me la la la.
There's no way we can control the bad things in life. But there's something good happening there. People coming back together. That is the spirit of Tomorrowland.
You're saving me.
So the documentary is really a new corner piece in our content strategy. We are recording a new one or filming a new one this year with a new artist that will be a protagonist. I'm not going to say who it is yet, but he's a super big name with a super interesting story as well. And it's also something that we bring to ADE from now on, but we premiered this in one of the biggest movie theaters at ADE, which was really nice together with the after movie. So it's a nice experience as well. And then a last example, I'll be a bit fast, but another example to work with a partner was what we did with with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has launched a couple of limited edition cans, and they wanted to do one with the Tomorrowland brand. So for them, the limited edition is 100 million cans, and they spread them in 8 major markets, which included US, Canada, Spain, Benelux, not Germany. And so there was a QR code on that can, and if you scanned it, you got into this gaming environment, and a mix of music started playing, and on the rhythm of that music you need to throw away balls or something like that. But what was cool here is that we included very young new artists in that mix, which was for them a way to get a sync fee, which is always interesting. So they got some decent money out of that, but also very good exposure. We did a big campaign in all those territories and online. So another example where we try to leverage our partnership, because Coca-Cola is one of our main global sponsors that want to do loads of activations with us. This is one of them. And we leverage that to bring cool content and help artists to sort of grow from that. There's a small clip here. That Garrick song was also part of it because we needed a big name to promote it. And then a last new addition to our music family is Core. I already explained the Core Festival, which is a new festival, but we decided to immediately, actually together with the different events, also create a music department next to it that will go hand in hand. We're starting off again with a label on which we signed now only 2 artists, one of which is Afriqua, who lives here in Berlin. It's more left of center, amazing music. We did this. So yeah, this is something we'll be rolling out in the next months further. So yeah, super happy that we can do this immediately. Another part of our, the second big part of our music activity is One World Artists, which is a booking agency and an artist management all in one. I'm not going to go too much in detail, but some of the artists that we represent are on there. Demi and Mike, obviously Lost Frequencies. Those are the ones, the biggest names, the ones also historically we've done the most with. We manage them. Afrojack, top left, is a new addition to our booking roster for the world, excluding US. And I want to highlight actually particularly the girl next to Afrojack, that's Amber Broos, who's a new techno artist. Very young, only 20 years old, from Belgium. For us, she's a huge priority. We manage her now. we book her, and we're also releasing first music with her. So it's really a fully Tomorrowland sort of project. She's an amazing talent, and we love working with her. So she's one of the examples of where we don't necessarily only want to work with artists that have already done most of the work. We really want to help them grow. But Mandy on the left, down the lowest row on the left, is also one of those young female artists that we're supporting in a 360 way. So it's a very, sometimes contested concept to do 360 deals and to sort of, be involved in every part of the business. But we don't do it with a lot of artists because it also requires a lot of investment and a lot of belief. And to be honest, we don't want to do that with everyone. We have to believe in the full 360 package. But when we believe, then we go all out, really. And so these are some of the artists that we do this with. And we're planning on growing that a lot also in other territories. So yeah.
One question, but how do you found her? Did you see her on the festival or on the social media? Because I think it's really interesting. How do you find these artists, these talents?
Yeah, she was right in front of our nose. She's from Belgium, and yeah, she started popping up basically with mixes on a local radio station, and they sort of started pushing her as the face of their night programming. And she did it in such an amazing way that we started taking notice, started talking, and that's where it came from. And she has already played the main stage, for example, of Tomorrowland Winter, which is not as big as Tomorrowland Summer, but it's still super impressive. And if an artist like that gets an early slot and nails it, and basically brings joy and brings sort of mature way of playing with the crowd, which she definitely has, then there's no more questions, and we just go all in. So she's one of those acts. But yeah, an interesting one is actually John Newman, who's standing there. He's been around for a while, but he's now launching his DJ career, and we're also working with him and releasing his music on the label as well. And there I can be quite open about that. So our strategy as a label is to help out as long as it's necessary. But John, for example, if he's got a new super big single that we as a small label team cannot work, then that's not in the best interest of the artist that we release it. So it's definitely a tool that's in there in the toolkit for artists, but it's not something that we sort of make mandatory, not at all even. I'm not sure how much time we still have, but I'm not gonna sort of go on and on and on about everything. Wanted to highlight just some of the stuff we do, as media. So we build out a whole media team that mainly focus on the top left corner, One Word Radio, which is our in-house radio station. It's 24/7 every day of the year in the mix, and it's actually mixed by DJs. It's like 10, 15 DJs around the world who make mixes for us based on playlists that we sort of send. Our music supervisor sort of makes the selection. But it's also going live on the different festivals, creates a lot of content, so it's a very important cornerstone. It feels maybe a little bit old school to make actual radio. It's on FM in certain countries, it's on DAB in certain other countries. It's available online, obviously, for everyone in the world. It's 1.5 unique listeners every month, only on our app. So it's fairly big. But for us, it's a way to sort of be constantly there for people who want it, and it's something that we're super passionate about. And yeah, that team is really also the sort of the guy that runs One World Radio is one of the guys that we all go to if we've got a new artist or there's new music. We want to hear his opinion, which is often not positive, because he's a super honest guy. But you need people like that. He really protects the musical DNA of the company, which is changing a little bit with the addition of things like core and the way that the sound on the main stage is also a bit changing. Like, it's a super important topic for us to sort of think like what's next, because as all festivals, it's not only in dance. Artists get older, crowds get older, so you need to renew that, and with what sound. So all these people sort of get together in meetings that can be super formal or super informal. But yeah, having like a constant ear and a constant connection with your listeners, which radio does, really gives you a lot of insights on that as well. I'm skipping innovation, although there's a lot of stuff happening that is super interesting, but I can't really explain it as well. We created, I'm not even going to go into it. What I am going to go into is the corporate social responsibility bit, which is something that shows itself. One of the outings is our Tomorrowland Foundation, which is a charity. And it's not a charity like where we help other charities. We really create our own things. And two things that have been done are the music and art schools and the mobile school that we support. So the music and art schools, we have one in Calcutta, India, and one in Seka, in Nepal. Those are schools that we built together with local NGOs, where young kids get taught art, theater, music, DJing. So it's a really important part of what our foundation does. It's funded by donations, but it's also, for example, if you're a guest at Tomorrowland, which not a lot of people are, but if you're a guest, you still have to pay a certain amount, and that amount goes entirely into the foundation. There's a lot of things we do to sort of spice up the foundation accounts, and that money goes into building schools like this. Also supporting the mobile school, which is basically panels with things where you can learn things about the human body or stuff like that, and people drive around with those panels in areas where kids don't go to school so that they can learn things. So all these things our foundation is super passionate about, and the music and art schools show that we mainly want to bring also their entertainment, the fun of creating to people and kids who don't get access to that quite easily. The artists. That's a regular Monday in one of those schools. No, this was when Garrix was on tour in India. He visited our school in India and did this impromptu set, which shows what it's all about. It's all about bringing joy and bringing something to these kids where there's probably a future Amber Bros in that crowd currently. That's at least what we believe and what we want to strive for. And we see that a lot of our artists really support it. Lost Frequencies is also super supportive, always doing what he can to support these things. So again, it's about trying to not only give back but also create that joy and that unity that we stand for. I'm skipping over fashion because we have a lot of fashion that we release and taste as well. We have our own restaurant. One of the cornerstones of Tomorrowland is the food there, so it's with reason that we have a chef in our first documentary, because it's super important in what we bring. But I'm not going to say much more about that. I do want to touch on design. Because when it comes to design, as I told you, it's actually the biggest department of our company, also the most difficult one to penetrate in any way or to get stuff done from if you're not working on a stage. But so they make everything in-house, and we consider what they make as art, and we also show it. They don't only design it, we also make it. We have our own workshop. So everything that you see is built in the workshop next to the festival site. Everything is done in-house. And for example, I don't think I can say it, so I won't say it. But So yeah, that's one of the things that we see as design and art of what we do, but also on the Tomorrowland grounds, which is Boom, which is actually a park. You can go there during the year, you can just visit it. And we are building it into some sort of an open air museum because there's a lot of passion for art in the company. There's 3 fixed art installations there now already. One of them is the One World Bridge, which is a huge bridge, which was made by Arne Quince. There's the second one we opened last year. That's the Stairway to Unity. It's a huge mosaic stairway. I can give you loads of numbers, but it's huge, and it took a long time to make. But it's a collaboration between 3 artists, one from France, one from Cuba, and one from or a family actually from Italy that actually made the mosaic stuff. And if you look at it at different perspectives, it gives a different image. And it's a stair. It's at the amphitheater of the main stage, which is like this huge hill around the main stage. It's right in front of the main stage. You now have those stairs, which is very beautiful. And the third firm or permanent installation is the magical troll forest. Those trolls lay on the top of that hill as well. And the other trolls, there's 8 of them, are hidden in the forest behind it. So actually the visitors of the festival can't see those trolls because that forest is closed during the festival. But if you go after the festival, you can sort of go through the forest and find those trolls. And I tried it with my kids and I only found 7 of the 8. Honest to God. But it's beautiful. And it's, again, we want to make that bigger and broader. And we now have actually 2 people working only on art in our company. The NFT collection I can also quickly talk about. We dropped 3 NFTs last year, linked to the 2 were linked to the theme of one. The first one was for Tomorrowland Winter, the second one of Tomorrowland Summer, and the third one was just around our logo. And there's loads of perks added to it, but the main thing I want to mention is that everything of that and all those NFTs were created by us in-house, which is super complex, but it happened. And then the last thing I want to talk about is storytelling. As you may know, every Tomorrowland festival has a theme, and those themes can look super random, but they're actually not at all random. One of the 2 brothers that founded Tomorrowland is a huge fantasy fan, I think, at least, because we are basically writing fantasy books now as well. We have an in-house department that makes fantasy. And so Accendo is the theme of the festival this summer. And Michiel, that's how he's called, he was saying like, yeah, I think it's frustrating that people don't really realize that there's an actual story, there's people, this is not just the main stage with some books or with this. No, there's actually people there, there's characters, they have a story. And so for the first time, we now actually told that story in a book written by our in-house writer, Michael Rowley. So that was, yeah, we sold the first 10,000 units. They were offered for sale when the tickets went on sale as well. And we're going to grow that. But we're actually also making a trilogy, which is, yeah, a lot of work. But I wanted to show this not sort of to... I don't know, I wanted to show this because actually it all looks very fairy tale-y and all very dreamy, but it is actually a fairy tale and it is actually a dream. And we're trying to tell those stories in any way possible. And these books are the most specific way that you can do it. And it's pure fantasy, so if you want to read it, it's really cool. Oh yeah.
Imagine there is a reality where life can shine with pure presence. Every individual participates and contributed gifts, surrounded by the beauty of fascination, nature, and friendship, guided by a unique dance of all the senses. A boundless connection is created which lasts eternally. painting a portrait of a new generation. A magical gathering where all are equal and are celebrating being one world. A symbol of global unity. Writing together a magnificent tale that will change lives forever. This reality exists. We call it Tomorrowland.
I thought that was a nice dramatic way to end the presentation, so.
Thanks a lot. Are there any questions? Okay, I will come with the microphone.
Hi, I'm Tariq, and I wanted to ask you, as head of music, what do you see as the musical, the musical identity of Tomorrowland music, and what do you see in the future? And
it really depends. When you talk about the identity of Tomorrowland, it's very broad, because the identity of our main stage, for example, is very different and is all about energy. So there, for us, electronic music is all about high energy, because you have to fill a huge space. But then core is small and can be very left of center. We at Tomorrowland want to embrace basically all electronic music, dance music, music that is basically uplifting and bringing people joy. And we create like these different areas and spaces where music sort of needs to fit that goal. So it's a bit of a broad answer, but I can't actually make it more specific. I can only say that we think of all these stages as brands. All these things that we do also outside of the festivals are their own brands with their own people who look at them. The people from core have a completely different idea of what electronic music is and should be and is going to than the people who look after some other of the stages. So it's super broad, and we actually love the fact that at Tomorrowland, Coach lately said in an interview that about him being cool with other very commercial artists at the festival, and saying like it's just being respectful for what others do and being good at their craft, and when you bring that together, that's basically what Tomorrowland stands for.
Hi. So we are talking about the brand, and probably you have those small brands. How do you make sure that people actually stick to the whole of the idea of the huge brand? And how do they collaborate between themselves, if they collaborate? And do they have any kind of borders in terms of where do they go, and how do you make sure that they don't cross it?
Good question. I think all of this, like all the initiatives, come from the same person. There's actually one person who has a very clear vision, like when he wants to step into the music or when he wants to step into art, it comes from him, and then other people start executing it. And they all sort of get indulged in this whole thing, because when you enter into the Tomorrowland offices, this is from Monday morning till Friday evening. This is what you see, and you get inspired with each other. There is a lot of liberty to develop your own thing, but we all sort of we live in the grace of the strength of Tomorrowland. So basically, we all try to sort of make that stronger. And so it's super important that if you're active in music or you're active in the storytelling part or in the books, that you sort of touch base and make sure that you're not doing something that goes off. And the boss of our creative team, which is basically the guy that thinks of all the concepts and he looks at everything that comes out. So yeah, it's about people getting the time and also the openness to sort of start taking initiatives, but in the end, there's also always 2-3 people looking at the actual output. But yeah, it's very diverse and it's very different, but through using, for example, the hymn that is also in the last video that I showed, that's also in the amusement park. If you come there, that's what you hear. It's the same person that made the main stage that has made the entire sort of house where the ride leaves. So it's a very different activity, but the feeling and sort of the output is very similar. But yeah, granted, it's definitely something that we also internally sometimes struggle with. Like, okay, there's this new concept. We have, for example, this whole home home goods collection that's Tomorrowland branded, which are literally plates and forks and stuff like that. But that also fits in. That's what you eat from when you're in Dubai in our resort. So when you see it separate from the bigger sort of story, it's maybe a bit weird, but then if you see it all connected, then it makes sense, we hope.
Hi, my name is Rhea. I have a question. The DJ booking is from the DJ booking team, or you can apply? I guess you can't apply by Tomorrowland, right?
To play at the festival or to be booked by us?
To play there,
to
yeah.
play. Well, like everyone else, you can try to get in contact with the bookers, and if you have an agent, he or she will do that work for you. But yeah, I think a lot of the DJs that are performing at the festival actually don't have an agent and have a personal relationship or have stood out for some reason. I can only say that even very big names where we as a label, for example, sometimes work with artists and feel like, okay, we want to do something more. Is there something possible at the festival? The first thing they'll ask is there a set that we can listen to? And ideally also look at, because DJing is more than just, at least DJing at the main stage, for example, if that's your aim, that's way more than just a good mix. It's also about entertaining, about a certain energy you bring. So our bookers want to see that. So all these things help. But we just, for your info, we have like weekly music meetings and then monthly big music meetings where everyone can join in and say like, I've seen this DJ, I've seen this clip, and we play music to each other and we pitch ideas to each other and names. And sometimes, something comes out there that basically hasn't got any connection with a big agency or whatever. So everything is possible. And it's not very difficult to get in contact, I think, because we have a pretty big booking team.
One last question.
Hi. So my question is, did the local government, when you were starting, obviously, so did the local government play any role? Did you get any subsidizing or things like that? And so did government invest in the idea in any way, or it was done privately, or does that happen now since you have grown so big?
Yeah, first off, I don't oversee those things, so it's difficult for me to say, but there's definitely close collaboration with mainly local government, of course, because we use their terrain. And yeah, Tomorrowland is a very big organization and brings a lot of economy to Belgium in specific. It's also a very big tour operator. It's actually the biggest tour operator from Belgium is Tomorrowland, because we organize all these tours around, or trips around the festival visits. So for all these things, obviously you work together with the state. So there's a lot of collaboration there. But pure subsidy in the beginning, I literally have no idea. I wasn't there, but I can imagine there was some help.
Then thanks again, and thank you all for listening.
Welcome.